Okay, so let's disconnect. And by the way, you're not turning this in. This is just sort of the hands-on during the class. I must have done something wrong here. I have like an automatic reconnect or something. All right, so now I am now user 2, and just because I want to make sure I know what I'm doing, I am going to get rid of all of this. You see, these are the tabs that are part of the window and a part of the software, but then there are these other tabs that get created every time I open a new window. So let's go get rid of all the windows that we've opened. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a new table. And this table is going to be owned by user 2. So user 2, let's give it a better name, like or something. Let's just say this person, you know what, let's just call it students. This person is in charge of tracking all the students or something like that. All right, and columns, and we'll go ahead and we'll give it add row, and we'll give it FRCC ID, and the data type will be, what is that? That's a character, right? Because it has both an S, it has a text, and it has numbers in it, but it also has text, so it has to be able to hold all those. Character varying basically means it changes the amount of space that it is using to store the database. And we'll make that actually, what do we need? We only need like 12 characters to do this, right? This is going to be the primary key. And it can't be null. And you can't really have a default if it's a primary key. Okay, and then we'll give it last name, and again, character varying. And we'll make that longest last name is. Can't be, wait, no, yes, okay. Everybody has to have at least a last name. First name, and character varying, and let's say as well. Okay, and then let's put something in here that's maybe a little sensitive or something. How about social security number? People don't want that thing shared. We'll make it also character varying. What is that? 3, 4, 6, 7, 11 characters, so we'll make it 12. Okay. And then we'll also, while we're here, we'll go ahead and for security, we'll check and we'll make sure that nobody else can see this. Right? They can see that it exists, but they can't see that the data, or what's actually inside the data. Okay, so let's come over here. We'll go to View Edit Data. I'll grab all rows. And again, this only works if you are the owner of the database or if you're a person who has been granted privileges to see it. So FRCC ID, S0116, and 167, and let's see, last name Reagan, and first name Bart, and social security number 5356 78. Oops. 5356 78. Okay, and so there's that. And let's do another one, S0178, and this will be and won't be Jennifer, it'll be her sister Josie, and her password is her social security number ON7654. Don't ask me how I happen to know an imaginary character's password. I'm making it up. Okay, so we have a couple of fields in here, and a couple of records in here, and let's make sure that we save the data changes, otherwise it goes away. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. All right, so let's disconnect as this person, and connect as user 1, and let's see what user 1 can see. User 2 students. So user 2 students, view edit data. All right, can't see anything. Okay, that's good. So here's the deal. What we want is we want let's say we want user one student, or user one, to be able to see some of the data, but not all of the data, right? We want to hide that Social Security thing. So one of the things we can do is we can create a view. Remember I told you in Access, every time we made a query and we saved it, it functions kind of like a view. So let's disconnect as user one. And we'll go back to user two. And I recognize that this is a little pedantic or whatever, but believe me, you don't want to get into a thing where you're like, oh, God, who am I logged in as? Okay. So in some databases, you can actually grant privileges on certain fields. And actually, in Postgres, you might be able to now. I don't know, but not all databases support that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a view, and they'll be stored down here. Let's see. Can you actually do it this way? Interesting. Okay. What we're going to do, though, is let's go ahead. Let's see. Here's a query editor. Let's get rid of that. And we are going to right click on this, and this is where we're going to actually use our SQL. All right, we're going to do select FRCC ID, which fields that we want, right? FRCC ID, last name, first name, from, and then what's the name of it? User to students. Right? And if I execute this query, it looks like, oh God. Are we going to have this issue again? I believe that Postgres actually is irritating about capitalization. FRCC ID. I don't know why I ever do this sort of thing. Let's see. Okay, yeah. All right, hold on a minute. I'm glad that we had this problem. Let's see if we can actually resolve it without having to drop and recreate the table. Definition name. Can I actually change that? Well, maybe. And we'll make this all lowercase as well. Alright, so let's see. Did that actually work? I find it hard to believe. FRCC ID. Okay, well, I'll be darned. It did work. Okay, so FRCC ID. And just for giggles, let's change the order of these things. Basically, it's going to query the same thing, but when it displays them, it's going to display them in this particular order. So we'll do the select. And you can see that I now have different, I have 3 of the 4 columns, right? These are the columns that we want to expose to user 1. Okay, so here's the way that I would do creating a view. Create view as, what do we call this? User 1 view of students. And don't put any as, and don't put any capital letters in here, any of this. And let's see if this actually runs. Oh. Create view, username, name of the view. Okay. So it has created a view, and so this is a lot like creating a query in Access, except we're not using the GUI to do it. Refresh, and I can see that there is now a view here, and if I tell it to show me everything, you can see that it basically, the first thing it does is it queries the contents of this table. So if I were to come in here and add more data, yes, 0, 30, or click OK, and this would be, I don't even know another person that teaches here anymore. Tulanowski, and this will be heads up. And just some number 219-87-6543, and we'll click OK. And again, save the edits. That's the base table. So if I were to well, let's just cancel that for now. If I were to come back here and do view, view, edit, view all rows, you can see that it's just selecting that. Okay, so now what we can do is we can actually grant privileges to the view, right? Over to user 1, and say, hey, user 1, you can actually read this. And remember, I think if we click on select, it just sticks an S in there. We could just put S in there if we want. All right, and so now that way we can go through adding data to our table here and not worry about and allowing user 2 or user 1 to be able to see this, but he can't edit it, he can't mess it up, and he can't see the parts that we think are private. In addition, we could from user students, and then we could say something like we could add more stuff to it where SSNs like only the ones that are, that begin with 423. I don't know what makes sense here, but that way we could restrict the rows in addition to restricting the columns. And so that's literally what this lab is about, right? Your identity, and also this concept of granting privileges to another user. Now this works when everybody's in the same database. They don't have to be in the same schema. Now you'll notice that the actual full name of this is actually public.userView. But in reality, in the real world, you may very well have your own data in your own schema, and even in your own database on the same server. So depends on how your DBAs have this all set up. Okay, this is really the heart of what I wanted you to do tonight, and so you're going to do the lab, and I'll come back with a little more write-up on that.